Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. All right, welcome back, And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 4, Apples to Apples. Dear God. I just want to start on the onset by saying I'm not literate enough to talk about ADD. I don't know nothing about the subject, so just carry that with you throughout this whole podcast. I'm not here to judge anybody. I just feel like I need to say this up top because I feel like
we're going to go to a
might be misconstrued as insults towards the ADD, ADHD community. And I wanted to be clear that my issues are not with them.
Our issues are not with them. This is going to go to a really dark place. There are other people who we might offend in just discussing the events of what happened in this episode. It's one of those. So let's just strap in and please give us a little bit of grace here.
Yeah, give us some patience and some grace. Because clearly they didn't want to do that for whatever the hell is going on with Wyatt.
Oh, God.
But we'll get into it. Emily, what was your one word?
Adderall.
God. It's like, of all the things I want Sex and the City to be talking about, how have we not gotten the Ozempic episode yet? How are we getting an Adderall discussion, which feels like 10 years too late?
Yes. That was going to be my answer, is because, remember, he's in a coma. He's catching up to everything from his coma state that is 5 years ago and so forth. You know what I mean? So we're kind of on a delay. We'll get to Ozempic on season 8.
Yeah, exactly. My one word was, am I paying attention? ?
Okay.
Because I was the first, I watched it twice. The first time I watched it, I was actually oh, what's going to happen? Oh, what's going to happen? I was leaning in. I don't know if I liked the final result, but I was definitely leaning in. And I do think that there were some plots that were going on here that I actually maybe liked. ?
We'll see how you feel about it at the end of this episode. I feel like you go in with this bright-eyed optimism that maybe it's my fault that I just crush as we start discussing things, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry for that. I also want to shout out my roommate Anna, who for the first time actually stopped to watch an episode, not watch an episode, watch a scene, just a scene, and we will get to the scene, and I'll tell you what her reaction was. But shout out to her for finally actually looking at it, because usually I take great care to watch the show in private.
I was just say, but there's nothing more sort of humanizing watching it with another human being. I feel like we get so used to watching it in our cones, and then you bring in another human being, and you're like, oh, this is awful. You know what I mean? You're It's good to get the validation from the outside. But you're not alone.
That's true. That's true. You have someone to look to and go, did that just happen? So that is true.
My last question before we start is, do you think the stock for Apples to Apples also tanked a la Peloton? Because the game was murdered by Wyatt and the whole family.
I think it's a trick question, because the stock has been tanked since Cards Against Humanity came out and all the various variations thereafter, which was, let's say it with me, 10 years ago. So yes and no. You know what I mean? If anything, maybe it went up because someone's oh, they still sell those?
Yeah, you're right. It's vintage, except it's not vintage and Just Like That. Okay.
The period piece of And Just Like That.
Well, let's get into it. This is season 3, episode 4, Apples to Apples. I thought we'd start with the quickie ones first. Kind of save Carrie for the end.
Okay, that seems fair.
I feel like we started with Carrie last time and then went on like a hour-long rant.
It was a Carrie episode. Yeah.
So, in fairness to the others.
Yeah, sure.
Also, because they all sort of have little dangling plots. Like, Seema has maybe 3 scenes, 2 scenes.
I counted 1, so maybe I missed one.
Well, she has one scene where she's at the real estate company, her for now real estate company, and Ryan Serhant appears to sort of make a deal with her. He really wants her as his number 2. And they sort of have this whole tit for tat where he's like, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to buy a property. And she's like, the property's me. And he's like, see? And the whole time I'm like, God, Ryan Serhant killing this. Congrats, dude.
There's a pattern here of guest stars on this show making diamonds out of nothing, right? Like, the lines are not good, but they come in with such a sense of being alive, because I think the main cast is so in the trenches that their spirit and life force has been sucked away, and so they're just like moseying about through these things, and then the guest actor comes in, they're like, I got 4 lines and 5 minutes and I'm gonna cook, and then they just do magic, and I gotta respect that.
And I love him for it. I want more. And he even ends the scene being a dick, being like, well, if you're not going to join me, I'm going to need you out of the office by next week. I'm already exhausted from this plot. It has barely started. It has 2 scenes in this episode. Whatever.
I don't care. There's nowhere to go from this either, because we've already just established that she's going to make her own thing and whatever. There's
right.
There are no legs here except for, where's my office gonna be? You know what I mean?
It's just the kind of thing is like, as if this were Samantha, she would have just like gone into the office and stormed out. You know what I mean? She would have been like, that chair is mine, this coffee table's mine. And they would have been like, whoa, what are you doing? And she would have been like, getting everything I am owed. You know what I mean? And she would
make a big moment
out of there.
Yeah, there's no scene here.
Seema just takes her little panther off her desk and then like tries to get the assistant to join her.
It's pathetic.
And then the assistant's like, I don't know what Jerry Maguire is. And then she leaves the firm she started, whatever it was, 20 years ago.
She just walks out.
Sad.
The thing that confused me is why she had a big painting on the side of her wall of what looks like a butthole. That's all I got.
Well, when you make it in New York, you get a big butthole painting. That's what they say.
Okay, good.
Well, that's Seema's plot this episode.
And that's it. All right.
Woo!
We're gone.
Okay. LTW. LTW gets a plot that doesn't resolve. Fine. So LTW is talking in her sleep, which I learned from the Writers Podcast is something Michael Patrick King does, which adds a horrifying layer to this whole thing.
I don't like any of that.
Chris Jackson can't take it, and he's like, you're keeping me up all night. And she's like, I'm stressed because I haven't picked an editor yet and I'm 3 weeks behind. Okay. Then LTW, we see her at work, her boss comes in and they're like, oh, we've got Marion, they're an incredible editor. And she's like, their resume is perfect, bring her in. And they're like, it's not a her, it's a him. Then they keep making jokes that are like, I don't want this convo to be read back to me in court.
Yeah, because I'm not going to go on the rant that I did in the last episode, but I just want to say that this is relevant to that. So everyone just listen to that episode that we just passed to get my feelings on this. But this kind of like, we can't say these things anymore. I did not enjoy it.
Emily was immediately like in the sunken place, was like, I can't.
I was falling into the dark.
I just was like, it's really not that bad to say, like, oh, should the editor be a woman since this is a woman project? I think that's like, you wouldn't say that to the candidate, which then she ends up saying directly to the candidate, which I think that's the problem. Yeah. Like, that's an HR violation.
Is your gender wrong is a crazy thing to say to your candidate. Yeah.
But he's hot. So
yeah,
She's going to make her decision tomorrow. I'm like, why are we delaying this decision? But
yeah, I agree. This should have been the end of this thing. There's no suspense here because we know what's happening. So what? I'm like, why did they make her say I have to think about it?
The real suspense would be like working with this man. Like having the production people being like, okay, we looked through Grace's list and the only person who's available is like this man or this Marion. And then LTW is like, oh, they're perfect. Bring her in. And they're like, it's a him. And then she's like, wah, wah. You know, like that would be a bit crisper.
Yes. Here. Yes.
So then she talks in her sleep again. And Chris Jackson, he has had enough. He is sleeping in the guest bedroom. And then we get, last episode, it was the nationwide shortage on Adderall. We just get one of those news headlines that's just like jammed in there where she's like, you can't sleep in the guest bedroom. It's a sleep divorce.
I hate this. Like, we're trying to make a thing happen. You know what I mean?
We saw a CNN article and now it's in the show.
Right. And it's like a pathetic attempt at it's like a CNN article or whatever, where New York Magazine, where it's like they kind of just, you know, just send out this article that they've like made up a trend where they're like, you've heard of quiet quitting. Now there's quiet applying. You know what I mean? It's like they just like make up a thing and then get random pull quotes and it's like not really happening. And they're like, this expert on body language, whatever. They just like make up a phenomenon for people to like talk about. And then that gets regurgitated in the daily news, whatever, of like, sources, studies, whatever, and it's like there's no study. We're just making a thing up. We're wasting our time. Whatever. Like that, I think has trickled its way down to somehow Michael Patrick King. Like he has heard about someone talking about a headline that they saw in a tweet about an article. You know what I mean? About sleep divorce, because it's like, what is this? This makes no sense. What are we talking about? But she hits that phrase so hard a few times in this episode that I'm like, they're trying to make it a thing.
Well, it's a thing. Wake up.
No, it's not.
I also hate to say that I'm going to come out real clean here and come out as a pro sleep divorce advocate, because if your partner is snoring or screaming, hey, in their sleep, I think you should be allowed to sleep in another room. I don't think that means that your marriage is shit. I really hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
I think if anything, your marriage is going to become shit because your partner can't sleep because you scream in your sleep.
Right, exactly. This is such a no-brainer. I mean, my parents have slept in separate rooms for my entire life. And it's because they both snore. They are not divorced.
I mean, my mom
this is not weird. I don't understand. This is like her coming in and being like, oh, you use a different toothpaste? It's toothpaste divorce. And we're just sitting here like, this is a normal thing. What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. My mom only sleeps with my dad now because he has a CPAP machine and it regulates the sound as opposed to the snoring.
It's like a white noise machine.
Yeah, basically. So she's like, oh, thank God. Finally, I can sleep in the same bed.
Wow, that is smart.
So, and also, I don't know, you have a mega mansion in the Upper East Side. Get over it. Okay. She goes, that's not who we are.
Enough.
And then they talk about the editor and she says she's going to get worried that because it's a man, she's going to get dragged all over social media for choosing a male editor. And I'm about to say two controversial things here, okay? And everybody's going to take me to opinion jail. Opinion one, he is hot enough to surpass that. Hot take number two, no one's tracking the editor.
That was going to be my point, too.
No one, unless it's that guy who did Dunkirk.
No one cares.
What's his name? I don't even know. Eagers, whatever. Unless you're that guy, no one gives a shit. Sorry for the editors. I love you all. Our editor Tori's listening to this. But I love you, girl.
We love you, but also that's kind of the point, right? Is the editors are shielded. Like creative decisions and stuff are in the producer, the director, whoever, like executive producer, whatever. Like that's what they're there for, is to be the face of the praise and also the criticism, right? Like this is such a strange plot we're manufacturing of all the manufactured plots, because this has to do with media production. So it's like, you all work in TV. How do you not, how is this so foreign to you?
But my thing is, like, if anybody's dragged, it's the director. It's like Spielberg working on West Side Story, where it's like, well, he's a white guy. Like, you know, like that is like the modern day example that they're sort of referencing here.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, like, I don't know. No one cares.
And what I mean is, like, how is the writing room of And Just Like That so in the dark about how editors work? You know what I mean?
Because they just want to make things work. They want to make their convoluted modern day trapping plots work. So they're like, we know, we'll give her a social media potential scandal because he's not a woman.
Yeah.
And it's like, you should have made him white if that's what you wanted. That would have been some conflict.
And again, it's like her executive producer needs to be white. Like the editor
Something.
Is not.
But I also don't want her to have a white editor. I just feel like I don't want that though.
Yeah, I don't care about this. This is not even, it's not like her co-director. You know, this is your editor. This is not, I mean, I don't want to be dismissive of editors, but this is not that important. No one is going on IMDb to look up who your editor is. Do you think, like, people look up Ava DuVernay's, like, documentary credits and look at all of the editors to see if they're all black?
Yeah.
I'm sure some freak does, but, like, you know, that's not a social media scandal.
But my point is, no one's, like, tweeting about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
This is not going viral.
No.
Girly.
But what is going viral is that Chris Jackson is not playing with his sleep. And he's like, I've got all these meetings. I want to sleep in the guest bedroom. Let me sleep in the guest bedroom. And she's like, no, never. So then she chooses to stay up the entire night instead. And I'm going to assume this is going to pay off in the next episode because this is her last scene in this episode. And I don't know if it's like a comedy beat, like, ha, ha, ha. Guess she's just never going to sleep again so she can sleep in the same bed as her husband, ?
I'm going to guess it was a poor attempt at a comedy beat. And or there was a wrap-up scene that got cut. And they said this is going to be fine because nobody cares. This is a money laundering operation. So just publish it.
Just hit publish, you amateur. Yeah. For sure. I was very confused and I thought it would pay off in some horrific HR scene where she like tells the editor something embarrassing and dumb, and then that didn't happen. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I still don't know why she hasn't approved him. It's like 2 days later when the scene happens and she's like, I still haven't said yes to the editor. I'm like, this man has found other work. This man is gorgeous.
Yeah. This is the hottest editor I have ever seen.
Again, no offense to editors. Yeah. But like, this man is ungodly. And that's LTW.
Thank you very much.
Then we get Miranda, which I think, again, after 2 seasons of misery, had a great plot this episode.
She's being graded on such a curve, I will say.
Such a curve, but I'll say there was something about her plot this episode that felt like for the first and only time they have managed to marry the modern day conundrum with a character I care about, a la Sex and the City. Heard of it? Like they're able to like, as opposed to just being like, sleep divorce, we're not that. And then random staying up. It's like, it was like memes in like a fun way that I enjoyed that didn't make me just want to throw up.
Okay.
You know? Anyway, Miranda's at Carrie's house with the cat, and the cat jumps down on her lap and wakes her up. Apparently, everybody told Michael Patrick King to cut this scene out of the episode, and he insisted on keeping it in because he wants to show the cat as much as humanly possible, and that is maybe the only time we have agreed with him.
That is all right, that's the redeeming trait. I'm going to hold on to that.
Then we see Miranda is at work. She talks to Carrie. We'll come back to the scene about Carrie later, but in the scene, Miranda says that Joy has requested her for an appearance on BBC. And then we cut to Miranda at said appearance for BBC. where she invites Joy to get a drink at her house later that week. And then she's like, oh, my friends are visiting. But, you know, and then Miranda's like, well, you should come after. You know, they have the playful banter. Again, this woman, Dolly Wells, who plays Joy, I could listen to her talk forever. She has such a unique vocal posture that I'm obsessed with. Then I'm gonna rag into this live shot because as a person who works in live TV, this makes no goddamn sense.
This makes no sense.
No sense.
Yes, let's discuss.
Let's break it down bullet by bullet. Okay?
And also, this is the scene that my roommate saw, and we'll talk about it in a second. All right,
oh, perfect. So a woman or Joy is like, and by the way, you're 30 seconds, you're going live in 30 seconds. And Miranda's like, okay. And I'm already mad because she should have an IFB in and should be hearing a producer be like 30 seconds. Yeah. And then she should be going like, oh, they want me in 30. They want me in 30, like going in front of camera.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Then who are all these people? Like, I'm sorry, but the state of news media today is like, if you get a cameraman producer, you're fucking luck.
You are living in a lap of luxury if you have not set up the camera on a tripod yourself. And you are recording it yourself.
There's a man with a boom mic, and I'm like, where is he going? What is he doing?
Yeah, she like has a lav mic on her clothes, and he has a boom mic. And there's like a woman with like a teleprompter.
No, there's like a woman. That's the other thing. That's how I know this is fucked, is that it's normal for the reporter to have a monitor so that they can see themselves and they can see like if they're put in boxes when they're up in the boxes. But the monitor faces them.
The other way. Yes.
Instead, this is like a movie video village setup where the monitor is like hidden by a whole scaffolding system so that only the producers can see it. And I'm like, that's dumb.
Yeah, she's like on a film set, basically.
Yes.
Like it's for a stand-up that is live, but also she's supposed to start speaking immediately when the count, like no one cues her. So it's like, I'm kind of confused what's happening. Like,
no, it's even more confusing because they go rolling and I'm like, rolling what? Right. And then the producer goes 5, 4, like 3, 2, 1 and points at her. And then she starts talking and I'm like, no. First of all, if she's going live, somebody had to have introduced her and been like, and now to the UN, Miranda Hobbs, or asked her a question.
Exactly. That's what I mean. She doesn't respond to anything. She just starts talking. Even though she's like supposedly live and talking to someone in the studio, they count her down and point to her, and then she just starts talking.
Right. With no, like, hi, this is Miranda, which is like what every reporter would do. Be like, hey there, Chris. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm here at the UN and the famine is bad. You know what I mean? Like something. It is insane. Those are all my notes, but they need us to be consultants. That's my end message of that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, though, it's like you work for HBO. You people all probably have media, like news media experience specifically. And also you're in the same like building basically as CNN. So like, I don't understand why this is like very bizarre to you, but like this was basically, she was on a film set and is doing like a live stand-up in front of like an army of people.
It's insane. And they're also hiding the monitor from her. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't understand what Miranda's job is or her role is. Like she's a correspondent. It's like she's like the Human Rights Watch correspondent. So she comes on to be like Miranda Hobbs from the Human Rights Watch, whatever. But they're making her do things and act like she's like a reporter doing packages. So it's like
I think that's what they should do is have
make her
the
journalist.
Problem is they kept saying live.
Yeah.
And they should have just been like,
is she a reporter or not? Like
do a walk and talk. And like it would have been fun to see her like she should have done a live report that was a walk and talk where she could have like walked and tripped. Instead, what she's doing here is like so confusing because she just starts blurting out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, I've watched BBC. Even if they go and here's Miranda at the UN, you're not just like talking.
And she's holding a BBC mic as if she's a BBC employee. You know what I mean? There's just like, there's a lot of confusion about what is going on. Like, I think Joy, if she's a producer and not a reporter, we need a reporter character to like be interviewing Miranda all the time. Like maybe Joy should have been, instead of the producer, Joy should have been the reporter, and then Miranda is her like Human Rights Watch contact, and that is why Joy keeps bringing her on the show.
So that's what she is, but the problem is that they have missed that final step, because Joy is a reporter. She could bring in Miranda as like the legal expert to be on TV all the time on like her show, or be like, I'm going to interview for this news package about the famine. But it seems like now Miranda is not that and is training to be a reporter. And I don't know why.
I don't know where we're going, but
I will nitpick this production.
But we are monitoring the situation.
But I am watching.
I just want to say my roommate was like kind of like cooking sort of in the background of a few scenes or whatever, so she like sort of saw bits and pieces. This was the only scene where she like stopped to actually watch how it ended and like was like watching and listening. And the minute that the scene ended, she just went, oh my God, Emily. She was like, you told me this show was bad, but oh boy, that writing. And it's like, yeah, because like, you know, I think we really need to like have perspective about this. It's like you and I are trashing this show all the time or whatever, but like the writing is so bad that you can be crossing from one room to the next and catch one scene out of context, and you know this shit is not gonna fly if you submit this script for your intro to script writing class and like, you know, NYU Tisch. You know what I mean? It's like, this is just bad. So Michael Patrick King, you can like suck it.
The thing that gets me is like, I think last episode we point out about how it was so confusing that the car backtracks over the thing because the sign is on both sides, because Michael Patrick King is like, the audience is too dumb to remember the sign that says don't back up. And we get another one of those moments in this scene where when she trips and sort of half says countryside, you hear a guy in the back go, did she just say cunt? Like right before the scene ends. Yeah. And it's like, I could have been left with the mystery. I didn't need some ADR voice being like, did she just say cunt right in my ear?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like from no one. Like none of the 10 people standing around say it. It's just a voice of God.
Yeah. But then Miranda becomes a meme. I liked this. I thought this was fun. I hope this is like never talked about ever again. Like I hope it's like the one episode thing is that she's a meme. I love that she calls Brady and, you know, he's cutting those fries, you know, because he's a fry guy. And, you know, I love the way that he's like, you're famous now. She's like, please don't say I'm famous. Like, I just thought this was like really, at least within Miranda's character of how she would react to this kind of thing, being like, I hate this. And then he's like, don't worry, soon somebody else will do something dumb. It'll be over. And she's like, I want it to be over. I was like, I like this.
Yeah, I think it's helped by Brady being the one who's like, Mom, relax, it'll be over in 2 seconds, and gets over it. Rather than him being like, haha, Mom, you're a meme, which is like the other direction this would have gone in if this happened 2 seasons ago.
Right.
But that being said, I will say we are grading her on a curve. Like, I'm sort of... the plot, I think, is of character, oops, accidentally goes viral, I think has been done before, no? Either on Just Like That or just other shows that are like, modern day, but like, I'm sort of... You know, I'm
trying to give the benefit of the doubt here, Emily. Come on,
I can't get excited.
To go in for an hour
speaking
on
of
Wyatt,
the grading for a curve, it's like I think that's why it gets a pass, is because like Brady is not a brat in this. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Whereas like he could have like 2 episodes ago or 2 seasons ago, you know, he would have been the one that's like, Mom, you're embarrassing me at school. Right. Like this is a disaster.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. So I appreciate that response. I also really love the scene where she's sitting on the toilet and she calls Charlotte and she's like freaking out about the meme. And then Charlotte's like, oh, nobody's seen it. And then from the back, Rock is like, tell Mom Miranda I love her meme. And she goes, fuck. That made me laugh. That was the one time I laughed this episode.
Oh, you smiled. That's so nice.
I'm holding on to the one smile I have.
That's really nice. That's nice to hear.
And then this upset me. Then immediately I was upset because Miranda calls Carrie in the middle of Carrie and the whole Aiden thing, which we'll get to, of course. And Carrie's like, opens the call with being like, I don't remember exactly what she says, but something along the lines of like, how's it in meme land? And I was like, there's no way Carrie has seen it. There's no way Carrie has seen it. To act like Carrie's in on the memes is insane. Carrie has not seen it and is not paying attention. That is
so crazy. I'm going to invent headcanon that one of the kids told her about it and showed it to her, but like, no.
Why wish that doesn't even make sense. That.
Is this really like, that funny a meme that you'd be like, hey, dad's girlfriend, look at this woman saying cunt.
Wild cunt.
Wild cunt, excuse me.
But Carrie does, Miranda's concerned though now because Joy has canceled on their drinks. And so Carrie's like, the only way to test her is to invite her and her group of friends over to my house. Michael Patrick King made a whole big deal on the Writers Podcast about like, and Carrie only has a bed. And I was like, all right, let's move on.
I didn't like how comfortable Carrie and Miranda are with Miranda just like fucking people in Carrie's apartments.
Yeah, wasn't that a big trauma for you last time?
Right?
I guess she's in the guest bedroom now, so it's different. And there's no peeing in Snapple.
And there's no peeing in Snapple.
Rest in peace.
Jesus Christ. So Miranda's so there's isn't there one so she's not sleeping in Carrie's bed? I thought the one bed thing was because there's only Carrie's bed. There's not like anything else.
It looked like a different room to me, but maybe I'm misremembering.
Because if there was a guest bedroom, then it's not, I've cornered her, there's only one bed.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Gross.
Yeah. But they're like really cool with this. Like Carrie encourages it. She's like, haha, you're so clever. And I'm like, this is weird. No? Why are we cool with this?
Yeah, I agree. I tried to protect my brain by saying it was a guest bedroom. And as usual, you've shattered that. So.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, Joy and her friends come over and they all go on a riff on cunt 10 million times. One person says that he prefers to be a tamed cunt instead. And then he's like, oh, I'm missing the cunt text. Ha ha ha. This is where you share your fun fact.
Yeah, I know one of these people. So like the minute they came in, I was like, is that Elizabeth? I was like, she just looks so much like her. And I was like, and I Googled who she was because I was like, maybe she's just like in something that I've seen, and I was like, she's just like, I can't really place her. And then I saw that this actress's name is Elizabeth Sun and has a very, very short IMDb. And I was like, how could I possibly know? And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, that is Elizabeth. This is the woman who I was in a UCB class with. And good for her.
The way she says Kabul, 10 out of 10. 10
out of 10. Where stands.
And then they chat in the kitchen and they tell this whole homophobic border guard story. And it's clear that Joy would literally rather be anywhere else. And Miranda's being awkward. And then finally all the friends leave and Joy and Miranda finally hook up. Miranda's like, I feel like you're being weird and it's because of the meme. And Joy's like, maybe I'm being weird because I'm attracted to you. And then she's like, by the way, I'm a terrible kisser. And then they make out. Miranda's like a liar. And then Carrie watches them on the ring cam, which, taking your comment about the beds to heart, is fucking weird. And the way that she has this smile on her face that's like, aw. Yes. And I'm like, you should not be seeing this.
Yeah.
The last time you saw this, you pissed in a Snapple.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It's like, this isn't even just like out of context. It's weird. But especially with this, I'm like, this was not good last time. This was pretty bad last time. But she's like, that's nice.
Tee-hee-hee. I'll just say, if you ever watch me make out on a ring cam, Emily,
we're gonna have to talk about boundaries.
Yeah, just burn it. Honestly, just leave and never come back.
Yeah, no, I have a self-destruct button on the ring camera that blows up if you kiss in front of it.
Perfect, as it should be, as it should be. And that's Miranda again. Didn't offend me other than the news production.
She's given, other than the news production, which like burned her into your soul. She's really, I feel like, giving being given a lifeline after the last 2 seasons. It's kind of remarkable. They really were just like, we're just going to make her date and nothing else. And that's like, whew, my God, thank God.
Oh, finally. Yeah. And then we get to Charlotte, which this one is a roller coaster. For good, for bad, we'll find out. But roller coaster nonetheless. So Charlotte and Harry is with the kids, and basically we are introduced to the idea that Harry's dad is in town, I guess, for the week or whatever. We have this whole back and forth about like, he wants to eat dinner at 5. Let me wake him up for breakfast so he can have dinner in an hour. Hardy har, old people, they eat early. Also, the man who plays Harry's dad passed away like literally last week. Yeah.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
No. He's like sort of a famous character actor guy.
And I forgot to look him up afterward, actually. I'm going to look
it was like kind of awkward because I had heard he had passed and it was right before the episode came out. And then I went to my Instagram and Kristen Davis, who plays Charlotte, made a post that was like, it was so incredible to work with this man. Anyway, enjoy And Just Like That season 3, episode 4. And I was like, this is some rough timing. Anyway, so this guy's a bamf. I have nothing negative to say about him. Let me be clear.
Oh my God, yeah.
But anyway, Harry's dad is hanging out, and
can I also say in his like, I did want to look him up afterward because not only was he very familiar, but also can I just say, I love it when like a real fucking actor walks on the set. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just see such an immediate difference, and it just makes me sad.
Yeah, everybody becomes sort of an empty puppet.
Yeah.
To like his weightedness.
Absolutely.
We find out that Rock is obsessed with the building link. My note for that was just K, period.
Kind of weird too.
Who is stalking that? Like, my mom stalks the listserv to her neighborhood, but like my mom is a retired 74-year-old woman. Why is Rock? And I get it. They're about community and building the community, and they end on the line, community works. And I'm like, of your Upper East Side co-op? Like,
yeah, these are two really different things that someone got confused about. Like, one of the writers heard that there's like, they heard about a friend who has like a building Slack. You know what I mean? And then they were like,
my building has a building link. I have a building link.
Oh, I don't have a link. I have a Slack. But the same idea, right? Like, someone was like, I have this in my building. And then the writer was like, wow, that's so like new age and millennial, and has like misunderstood that like this would look very different in like Upper East Side co-op building link versus what she's thinking, which is like, you know, crunchy granola co-op.
Right. Exactly. Well, congrats. You hit the nail on the head, which is that this banana plot they have been trying to work in the show since season 1. And they finally got an opportunity to work in somebody asking for a banana on a building link.
They've been
straight for the Writers Podcast.
For this.
Emily's taking a quick breather, closing her eyes and being deep. I'm just going to try and get through the rest of the scene, which is just like a slop shop mess. Like, this building link thing with the banana is introduced, and you're kind of like, okay. And then Harry's like, I'm going to make banana bread. Wait, how do you make banana bread? And you're like, why? And then they're also like, Rock, you need to clean Pop's iPad. And you're like, okay. And then Lily's like, Diego's coming to family dinner. And I'm like, we still care about this ballerino? Fine. And then again, Rock ends on the line, community works. And I am lost.
It's too much.
Hanging on.
It is too goddamn much. It is 5 mini plots all happening at once that I feel like we're set up for like we're going to have this big explosive dinner where like everything comes to a head. You know what I mean? And that doesn't happen because none of these plots are like that interesting or explosive. But that's kind of what it felt like the setup was wow, the dinner keeps adding people to it. What's going to happen? I don't even know how to bake banana bread. It's going to go bad. You know, it was like set up for hijinks, but that doesn't happen. So.
And then the dinner is so tame.
Yeah, it's fine.
I needed the stakes to be a little like juiced here.
Everyone's just like smiling at each other.
Saying sort of funny things. Whatever. I mean, let's get to it, which is like Charlotte's at the dinner with Pop, and he's like, you made a beautiful brisket, and my sister thought you'd never be a real Jew. And I'm like, we're still here. After all we said watching that whole plot line in Sex and the City, we're still here.
We haven't moved forward. Okay, I'm done.
And then I like how the banana thing comes up, like this woman in 10F asks for something again, and Harry like has a vendetta out for this woman in their building who keeps asking for a spare banana or like spare salt or like whatever it is. And Grandpa's like, be nice. And then Rock is like, exactly, Pop Pop. And I'm like sitting there thinking, why is non-binary future progressive Rock's role model Pop Pop?
I mean, I guess Pop Pop is like cool. You know what I mean? Like,
which he is.
We don't have any indication. Like, he makes a funny little Jew joke of like, oh, hey, sister, whatever, Jew, whatever. You know, but otherwise it's like, I don't really get the sense that Pop Pop is supposed to be Mr. Backwards. You know what I mean? Like, he seems really chill.
That's the problem. It's like the actor is so cool that he has made this man chill, but he is written to be backwards. When he confronts the ballerina, being like, back in my day, ballerinas had boyfriends.
Oh, I forgot he even says that, which is a funny thing to say, given Carrie's last love interest is a person who was a male ballerino in life.
Hilarious. Yes. But he says, like, back in my day, they had boyfriends. And then he says, oh, I do have a boyfriend. And then Lily's like, he's polyamorous. And then Pop Pop is like, Rock, what the fuck does that mean? And then Rock is like, me. It means that he is like, has many sexual partners at one time. And then Rock ruins it by being like, sorry, I spoke for you. Is that okay? And then the ballerina is like, yeah, it's fine.
I hate this.
And then Grandpa also, goes, hilarious, wants more brisket, which is phenomenal.
Which is outstanding. I do appreciate that you also said polyamorous, whereas the show said polysexual, as if this is a new sexual orientation.
Yes, which is weird.
I mean, someone come for me if I'm totally out of stepping, but like, they're in a polyamorous relationship, no? Like,
is it not sexuality as opposed to like identification? I don't know. I too got mixed up in the language as well.
Yeah, her delivery and the line of saying polysexual makes it sound like it's like she says he's attracted to multiple partners at once. Like she describes it as like a sexual orientation, whereas like I thought it was like, oh, we're polyamorous, as in our couple is like open to people.
/ we like engage in multiple partners. Yeah, because I don't know, when people say they're poly, I guess my mind jumps to polyamorous.
Right.
I don't know that I've ever heard polysexual. And if I'm illiterate, come for me.
Yeah, come for us. I don't know.
But yeah, I did catch that too, and did also think that was odd.
You and I are Pop Pop at the stable. We're like, can someone translate?
I'm like, I didn't know it was going to be LGBTQIA2 plus P.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was like, I don't know that this is part, but again, maybe Pop Up. I mean, I'm hard camp Pop Pop. But just to wrap this up, in this before the whole Diego exchange, Pop Pop basically is like, he's like, don't worry about me, but where's my cream soda? And he's so fervent about the cream soda that Harry asks somebody in the building for a spare cream soda, and it turns out the woman in 10F who's constantly begging for spare bananas and spare things has it. She shows up. She is a very famous actress named Annie Golden, who, fun fact, one of my childhood movies is the film Pebble and the Penguin. I was obsessed with it because the female penguin was named Marina. I'm self-centered if that isn't obvious. And she is voiced by Annie Golden.
No way. That's fun.
My
Did you hear? Yeah.
No, I'm just so obsessed that the second I saw her, I was like, Annie?
That's my penguin.
That's my penguin, bitch. Anyway, and the chemistry between her and Pop Pop are off the charts because, again, I want a spinoff that's just Pop Pop. Okay.
Yeah. You did, when we started this and you told me that he had sadly passed, I did look up his IMDb, and it is extensive, and everyone should look through it. I know him as Quentin Travers from Buffy. He is the head of the Watchers Council from Buffy, which is like hilarious and sinister. And shout out to that man. The way he delivers the line, "She's a god," is burned into my brain. It's fantastic. This man can do no wrong in my eyes. Full stars for for this performance. So he came in, made a date with this woman in 10F, and then breezed right out of this episode, and it's great.
And it's stellar. I mean, and then this is the last scene with Charlotte and Harry, which, like, is again, like, why are we making this plot so convoluted for the 3 scenes that it's given when all I want to see is Pop Pop be a fucking bamf, which he is off camera in this scene.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. But basically, Charlotte and Harry are having sex, but he can't go through with it because he's having a crisis about getting old and dying because his dad is just around. And then he makes multiple references to, like, his dad having a limp banana because bananas are a theme in this episode. Get it? Which Petrovsky also was tied with bananas. It's all linked. And
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
He says, I have his feet. I don't want his dick. And then Charlotte's like, listen, just because we can't have sex and be connected in that way anymore, does that mean we're not Harry and Charlotte? And then again, they do Harry dirty for a second time this season and have him think about it. And then she's like, come on. He's like, you're right. I'll still love you till the end of time. And then Rock knocks on the door and reveals that Pop Pop's iPad has a ludicrous level of pornography on it. Again, this man is not even on screen, and I am standing clapping.
Marina's saluting like it's the Pledge of Allegiance.
And then she says, he went up to, they go like, where is he? Give it back to him. And they're like, well, he went up to 10F and he said, don't wait up. And I'm like, I'm proud to be a Pop-Up fan. At least I know I'm free. Like, I am like so like just into it. And Harry says there's life in the old banana. They try to take the power of Pop-Pop down, but they fucking can't. Because he is a goddamn icon.
He's undefeated. He's a god.
And that is the end of the plot. Real messy. The way that they tried to shove in the whole, like, well, we have sex when we're old right there at the end. I was like, this is
not at all what we have spent time talking about.
I'm like, we did not develop this at all, but I guess we're here.
Nope. There were like 8 plots we threw out today, and none of them really stuck.
None of them stuck.
Nope.
And now, deep breath. Carrie.
Does everyone want to, like, stand up and get, like, a drink of water or something at this point? Like, do you guys want to, like, everyone just, like, pause and take a second?
Pause, take a turn about your living room, and then come back.
Taking a picture.
Took a sip. I'm going to start by saying this.
Okay.
Virginia is shot very well. These scenes look lovely, and Sarah Jessica looks more beautiful than ever.
Oh, that's very sweet.
All right. Gary's sleeping while Aiden and the boys paint, and Wyatt's a little creep because he stands out the window and he looks in and stares right at her in her eyes while she's in her bra. Like the fucking peeping Tom that he is. And then it's like, oh, she's sleeping. And from frame 1, I was like, we are off to the wrong start.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love the way she steps over the chicken. I thought that was very Carrie, the way she's like tenderly sort of trying to step over this chicken. And
is this what it's like in Norfolk? Are you like dodging chickens a lot and stuff? Like
in this fantasy Southern Kentucky fried chicken, Virginia, for sure.
Okay, just checking. I'm doing a gut check.
And she goes to see Aiden and Wyatt and Homer. Homer's the middle child, and Homer is like Pop, venerated in the icon cabinet because he's the only decent, cheery character in this whole episode. I actually think this actor did a great job, and round of applause.
Round of applause. That, speaking of the diamond, making diamonds out of nothing, even the lines where, like, you could tell it was just awkward, there was nothing you could say. The Tad, haha, stop it, I get it, when he's wrestling. Like, just really uncomfortable moments. I was like, this guy is really giving it his all. Like, he's really trying to make very awkward lines kind of sound normal. And I respect that.
even in the big fight later, like he has some dialogue that I kind of was like, that was weird, but he is pulling it off.
He's trying his best.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
He is obviously like, he and Carrie immediately get off, you know, on the right foot. I was kind of confused because I thought last season when she went to Norfolk to visit the farm, she did hang out with the boys. But then I feel like all the writing around this episode was very much like, I don't know, she's meeting him for the first time. I got a little confused in there for me, but for whatever reason, she and Homer get off. Great.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, we said last time too, we were kind of annoyed that this introduction happened off screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is kind of why. Is like, it should have happened here, you know?
Right. They should have just made it that she meets them here for the first time, but whatever. Or maybe I missed that in that episode, but their continuity also is shoddy at best, so. We have a lot of back and forth here because Carrie's disgusting because, as we said, she lost her luggage in the trunk of the rental car and seemingly makes no effort to get it back.
Yeah. This is a Carrie question for you. Is this, I mean, I know the answer, but like, how in character is it that Carrie Bradshaw loses her clothes and shoes and everything that she prepared and is like, well, whatever, I guess that's like on.
I mean, I'm starting to think this is not the Carrie that I know and have labeled her as a new character named Carissa.
Oh, and I like that.
I think Carissa would not care. Yeah. Carrie obviously would care because she'd be like, oh, my vintage dress and my Jimmy Choo, whatever, you know? But now that we're in Carissa's and just like that world, I think it's canon for Carissa.
Okay. Yeah, that's a perfect answer. That's a perfect answer. Thank you.
So then Carrie's like, just feed me some slop and a non-fat latte outside. And I'm like, that made me chuckle. Grasping at straws.
It's all downhill from here, Marina.
Carrie's having breakfast with the boys. And, I wrote, Homer's clothes are her size. Cool. And I listened to the writers' podcast and they're like, oh, they would have gone through his closet and they would have picked out his like junior league baseball outfit that's like a little small so it fits her perfectly. And I was like, I'm looking at this man and there's no way that even his small junior uniform it's like, it's not going to fit her or it's going to be baggy. I don't know why she's wearing like a women's Wildcats.
Yes.
3/4 sleeve.
It's a women's fit. It's a women's fit. It is curved. It's like ridiculous. Anyway, but she's like, thanks, Homer.
Then it's announced she's going to stay the whole week, which we don't see. Also, we like do see and we don't see. Another continuity issue for me is how much time has passed because he broke his collarbone and his leg, Wyatt being that, and like 2 months have passed.
Good question.
Should you not be in a brace with the fucking crutches?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Collarbone is a serious injury. He should have something.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Anyway, what's the point of nitpicking on this show anyway? My last nitpick, I mean, it's not my last nitpick, but my big nitpick of this scene is Aiden's like, I guess you'll just have to shop at Target. And she goes, my favorite bathing suit is from Target. As if to imply like, I've changed. I shop at big retail now. And then he's like, okay, well, it's an hour away or something. And I'm like, what are we trying to say here? Like she's hip with Target? Like, I just can't imagine Carrie Bradshaw at Target. Yeah. And I don't think it's character growth that she shops Target. And you know they feel that is.
Yes, which is what is annoying. More to me than the character discontinuity or whatever is that they will defend this as like, isn't it cool that she's chill now with Target?
Anyway, she decides instead to go local and go to a thrift shop, which is later described as a sister wives dress shop. The dresses in here are ugly and like Virginia, and they probably cost like $600 each for sure.
Absolutely. All lacy and everything.
She connects with Miranda being like, oh, Wyatt's like hard to connect to. You know, he's antisocial and on his phone all the time. And Miranda's like, that's totally normal, which we'll get into that. Okay, so the Carrie and Aiden are post-sex. And I cannot believe she's still stuck on this fucking dining room table.
I'm really upset to find that the one thing that has like transferred from one episode to another was the table. I mean,
of all the things that they drop,
yes,
this is the one thing. Infuriating. Infuriating. And on the writers' podcast, they were like, it's so like women to be attached to this one thing, and guys don't even remember. And I was like,
no, I hate that.
I hate that we're leaning into that archetype. But Carrie's okay shopping at Target. Whatever.
No. So it's like, it's kind of reductive, I would say, to do the women always remember thing, because it's like, you gave her such a stupid thing to be the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you gave me a thumbs down emoji, and that made me upset because the table really meant a lot to me. Feels like such an embarrassing example of this trope of like women just like to obsess over things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I also feel like later when we have that whole speech with Aiden about like you need to be here and stuff like that, I feel like they should have inserted like, and I was all stressed about a dumb table. You know what I mean? Like, yes. I feel like that would have highlighted more and been more Carrie as opposed to this new woman named Carissa. But again, they don't see it. They see it in glimmers, but not fully.
Yeah.
So then he says that she should spend some time with the boys. And he's like, we love games, apples to apples. Ooh, foreshadowing. And then his timer goes off because he's lied to the boys that he's swimming. Carrie's napping. And she's like, you timed our sex. And he's like, no, I timed the swim. If I timed our sex, it would gone off in 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, you've been post-coitus for like 30 minutes now, so sounds good. And then she says,
I missed that line also, so thank you. Thanks for introducing that to me.
And then she says, am I stuck in the guest house? And he says, no, you will bed in my chamber. Again, she's there for a whole week, but they make it feel like she's only there for 2 days. It's very strange.
Yeah.
So then Aiden and the boys are waiting for Carrie, and Wyatt is trying to play his racing game. Michael Patrick King was like, the symbolism, because he slammed the red car into a tree and now he's racing a red car on his phone. And I was like, maybe we're just like saying random things and doing random things, Michael. And then
get his ass. I mean, it's like, and Carrie's on a red ATV riding to town to get her like sister wife. Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
So Aiden snatches the phone from Wyatt. It's clear that Aiden has a vendetta against screen time. We'll get more into that later. But then Carrie comes out. We get her Little House on the Carrie line, and I'm already irritated. Okay. Carrie is fishing with the boys. She says, and just like that, I'm fishing. I'm irritated yet again. And then, in talking to the boys, Wyatt is like pissed. And so she's like, why are you so mad? And he's like, I hate fishing and I hate painting the house and doing all this outdoor stuff. And then she's like, well, what do you want to do? And there is actually a very fun jump cut here where then she goes to see Aiden and she's like, we're going to go to the mall and kill zombies. And he's like, what? And she's like, that's what Wyatt wants to do. Like, I finally want him to like me. This is going to get him to like me. And Aiden is like, no screens, like that's bad. And she's like, come on, Aiden. And he's like, all right, well, if you're going to go, then I'm going to come. Okay.
Weird. I mean, I don't know if we should be taking these scene by scene or get it to the end, but it's like already I'm off. It's off-putting, this like weird screen thing. Because I don't know what the issue is. You know what I mean? It's not like he has epilepsy. You know what I mean? It's just like we've just decided screens are a danger, and like also all screens are the same. So like playing games on your Switch or your phone or whatever he's doing is the same thing as going to the mall with your family to do a VR experience. You know what I mean? Those are like two different. That's like being like, no screens, you can't go to the movie theater.
Right. It's like, and we're still doing it like later when he leaves the apples to apples to play on the Switch or whatever. He's like, we're having family time. And I'm like, well, VR is family time on his terms.
Right.
Like, I feel like they weren't really making that sort of kind of clear. And I don't think the screen time is medical. I think it's just the hot topic.
Exactly.
Of like, screens are bad for kids, which like is real, what I mean?
Out of context. It's like they woke up from their coma and the note card said screen time bad, and they think that it means that the screen itself is bad, but it's like they're missing the context. We're talking about like Cocomelon level addiction. You know what I mean? Like screen time bad. We're talking about social media. We're talking about like that kind of screen time bad. I have no social skills. This is a social activity that Carrie is suggesting, and Aiden's like, but it has a screen.
But it has a screen. It's going to rot his brain. I'm like, you should be doing this more because, you know, like he can't maybe be on his phone all the time. And that's the thing too, is like, I feel like to your point, the big misstep here is that he should be on social media. He should be watching right-wing YouTube. He should, he's like playing racing games on his Switch, which like we can sit here and fight about video games. Although recently on my news television program that I work on, there was a study that came out that video games actually foster your mental acuity. So take that and rewind it back. Obviously, we're not talking about violent video games, but they don't show him playing violent video games. I feel like it needed to be sort of more bad social media stuff. Yes. And that could have also given us a motivation as to why he's, I mean, we get the motivation that's like his parents are going through a divorce, I guess. I just feel like, you know, there's just a piece missing here, which is like the Switch is not going to kill you. I don't know.
Yeah, the Mario Kart is like not your video game addiction that is like causing the rift in your relationship. I think you've kind of nailed a great idea of like he's addicted to YouTube or like Twitch, like he's whatever, and like it's set up as like he's been neglected thus far, and that's why he's like gotten really deep into like the YouTube internet rabbit hole, because that dovetails nicely with the fact that Aiden is like, I have to be here full time because I've been neglecting him.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know. There's just, I mean, we'll get into it more later, but there's kind of a disconnect here again, where it's like, what is the problem? Is the problem that he is antisocial? Is the problem that he has ADHD? I don't know that this is the best characterization of a person with ADHD.
Nope. And like here's where we're gonna throw up the like disclaimer again, is like ADHD is one of those things that like looks very different in a lot of different people, and it like is very hard to talk about because it's something that like is attached to a lot of other things. You know what I mean? Like it can manifest alongside OCD. It can manifest alongside anxiety. There's also a lot of discussion, debate about like, is it related to the autism spectrum? Is it on it? Can it be something that is in addition to, you know, there's so many varieties here. So it's like, you know, whatever. Maybe there is someone out there who's like, their ADHD manifests this way. I don't know. But like, I'm not really going to give the writers the benefit of the doubt on this one. And I just feel like it feels like kind of the drug problem that we're kind of alluding to of, oh, he did shrooms and he crashed my car. Is like, we need him to have a problem, but we can't have it be like super capital S serious. It needs to be serious enough that Aiden, you know what I mean? It has to be something. It can't just be like, he is sad. We need to give him a capital P problem. But like, they're kind of too scared to like do anything more intense than like something really light and manageable. So like his quote unquote drug addiction or problem is like he did shrooms once. That's not that bad. Well, we're gonna make him crash a car. You know what I mean? It's like they kind of like,
well, I was
try to add opposite,
shit, which is like they've introduced really threatening things and then they pull back.
Yes. Well,
and I'm like, but you're setting him up to be really threatening
without giving him actual reasons to like it. Like it's like, oh, he crashed a car. He's really hurt. Okay, why? Was he drunk driving? No, he was just...
Well, he was, because Aiden, like, confiscates all the beers. Remember, it was like a whole cake where it was like he was drunk and high and on screens and he took the car. It was like a whole, like, succession of things. Because it's like, this kid clearly has a propensity for acting out.
Yes, exactly. He's a propensity for acting out, but it's not like... We're not going to make him, like... addicted to opioids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, he's treating ADHD drugs like they are opiates, which is also confusing.
And it's like, we need him to be acting out and dangerous, but we don't want to actually give him the thing that leads to this behavior. So we do this sort of soft thing of, oh, he has ADHD and it's his Adderall meds, which is like a completely different condition and medication than what his behavior is showing, which is
whatever is happening with him. Yeah, I'm like, this kid is clearly like, again, antisocial. He doesn't interact with other people. He has an online fixation. They make it a switch fixation, which again is confusing, but I'm going to act like it's an online fixation. Like,
right, let's pretend.
And maybe it does dovetail with ADHD. I'm not trying to say there's no connection. It just feels a little, they don't really tackle the nuance of that. And so it feels like this is what ADHD looks like, which
it does not. I mean, the minute she said that, I was like, oh, okay, so he's misdiagnosed and that's the problem, right? Like, I was like, that's clearly the issue, is you have decided it's ADHD and it definitely is not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see this kid and think his problem is attention deficit. That's what I'm going to say.
I mean, again, I'm not a medical professional. I just think that it's very confused. Yes. I think the thing that gets me is like when they do go to the VR scene, which by the way, Sarah Jessica Parker wanted to cut because she thought it, quote, wasn't this show. And I'm like, this is maybe the only thing in this show that is working. In that, like, I want to see Carrie Bradshaw doing VR and hating it.
I did want to see that, but we don't get to see that.
But we don't get to see that because she like kind of enjoys it. And then Wyatt immediately hits her in the head. And then it becomes this whole thing about like, well, don't make him feel bad. But also I'm here to take care of you. And then Aiden says he's not a violent kid. And I'm
Weird
like,
as fuck line.
But he drove a car into a tree. He has violent outbursts frequently, like the one we see later in the scene where he takes the like rake and breaks the window.
He's not a violent kid. I found especially jarring though, because he's saying that in response to not a violent outburst. He's saying that in response to him accidentally bopping Carrie on the head. So him being like, he's not a violent kid, like very like defensively. I'm like, who said he was violent? Like in this moment, we're just playing a game and he like accidentally bumped into her. Like Homer could have done that. And wouldn't be like, he's not a violent kid. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm so confused what the audience is supposed to be feeling about Wyatt at this moment, because like that line came out of nowhere. Like it was clearly an accident. You don't have to be worried about Carrie being like, wow, he's a really violent kid because he like accidentally tripped and bumped me on the head. These vague symptoms you're throwing out at me, which are just like under the vague umbrella of like troubled. It feels like a 90s sitcom where it's like we kind of didn't have language for any of this shit yet. So we were just like, he's a troubled teen. And he would just do things like drink. You know what I mean? It was like we kind of didn't know what to do. And then it was a very special episode when it's like, oh no, what's his face brought home marijuana. You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of what I was giving here. But they keep throwing in these things to like up the stakes a little bit. Because if he was just troubled and like broke into the liquor cabinet a few times, we wouldn't have the end of the last season where Aiden's calling in a car being like, I'm sorry, Carrie, I need to put her entire life on hold and go be with him because he's super serious. We had to up the stakes. So it's not just, oh, he broke into the liver cabinet. It's he broke into the liver cabinet and he crashed the car. Oh, and also there were shrooms in his system. Oh, and also, it's like he broke his collarbone. It's like we have to like up the stakes because otherwise it makes no sense that Aiden is so like, I need to be here all the time. If he's breaking into a liquor cabinet, that's not I need to put my life on hold for and ignore and not text my girlfriend because I'm so that's just like my boy's acting out. We need to like up the stakes and make him capital T troubled, but the way they're doing that has no continuity. We're going to make him crash the car, he's going to throw the rake, he's going to have social media addiction, he's going to whatever. It's like you got to pick a lane and just like he has anger issues. And, like, maybe the little things keep setting him off and he keeps screaming. Yes. Or, like, he'd take the switch away and he starts screaming. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah. I think it needed to be more... For the purposes of a show, it needed to be more specific. I like the anger issues thing because it's like he's pissed about the divorce. He has these lines that are like, it's not family time, they're here or whatever. Yeah. I feel like that makes sense, But again, they just, like, have to put in these hot topics. They want to have the Adderall debate. And at the end of the day, here's my hot take about this whole thing. I feel like it makes Aiden not look like a good dad.
No.
Which
it doesn't.
Is then they try to end the episode on that whole sort of, I'm going to call it a breakup scene, breakup scene in the uplifting way of like, you need to be here. And I was like, no, like this man does not know what to do with this kid. Yeah. He is clearly struggling. he thinks the solution is having him run outside, and that is clearly not working. And so, like, I'm not here to get into the ADHD debate about whether or not this kid gets ADHD. It is a fictional character that I do not know, but I am willing to wade in and say, like, some therapy is needed.
Yeah.
Some discussion is needed. I think some compromise on the switch is needed. Yes. And like, it's like the fight scene is so gripping. I think the first time I watched it, I was into it. I was curious what was going to happen next. And then watching it a second time, I was like, this is really rough. It makes Aiden look really bad, really domineering. Mm-hmm. And then this plot is over. So I'm left with this icky feeling about this kid that I will never see again. Gross.
And a sinister feeling about Aiden. Because like we find out that his wife was asking Carrie to ferry these drugs across state lines because the Adderall, in her view, calms him down, and he presumably wants to take it and has been prescribed it.
Right.
But she asks in secret because Aiden doesn't approve. That to me is a whole big mess, is that the parents are not aligned on what the treatment plan is for this kid. And then on top of that, now Aiden looks a little bit more sinister to me because he's like, he doesn't need medication, he needs to paint a house. And he, like, clearly is beyond the point of, like, it's not like a 5-year-old that is kind of acting out and just needs, like, enrichment activities. You know what I mean? It's like, this is a fully blown, like, teenager. And we're still having this debate about, like, medication. And he's like, no, he just needs to paint a house. Like,
right. And we're wading into a bigger conversation, which is, like, parents who don't believe in medication or screens.
Yeah. Right.
But, again, we will presumably never see these people ever again. So it's like a Pandora's box. They've opened this whole conversation. In the process, they have made Aiden look really bad. Mm. And then Carrie comically yeets out of the situation in a way that is like kind of uncomfortable, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, let me break it all down and then
let's go through it.
Let me summarize the whole thing, which is basically like, Aiden's preparing for Tate to come over because it's Tate's 21st like birthday celebration. Tate comes. He's an utter douchebag to Carrie. I literally wrote down the dialogue because I thought it was insane. He walks up. Carrie goes, "Happy birthday." He goes, "Well, it was 2 days ago." And then the mom is like, "Well, you still have to celebrate with us because we made you." And then she high fives Aiden. And then Tate walks off with Aiden and goes, that was awkward, in like off camera. And the classic Michael Patrick King, like, get it? Tate doesn't like Carrie. And it's like, I only need one kid to not like Carrie. Having two kids that don't like Carrie, when again, we are going to ditch this family in a fire, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Then we're introduced to boyfriend Bob, who kind of love this guy. And here we have a sort of a little act out from Wyatt where he's like, you know, his mom is like, "You're too thin." And then he's like, "I'm thin because dad's working me too hard." Again, I feel like this should have been like a little angry, to your point. Like, I think that anger issues thing that you said just really solves the whole fucking caboodle. But anyway, so then Kathy takes the Adderall and she's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then the boys are opening presents. And so Carrie and Bob are talking. And Bob is basically like, "Aiden doesn't like when I have opinions, even though I've been a part of this family for 4 years." And like, I get it. Stepdads are controversial, but like, he's been a part of this family for 4 years. Like, he's clearly not going anywhere. Yeah. And like, it makes Aiden look bad because he's like maniacal about this stepfather having any sort of input when he's clearly been raising this kid since he was like 12 at this point, because the kids are probably 16. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah.
It's just insane. And then he brings up the Adderall thing to Carrie, being like, "Well, you know," and then the Adderall. Carrie, to her defense, leaves to immediately go talk to Aiden to be like, "I'm so sorry. If I had known the Adderall was this big of an issue, I wouldn't have brought it." And then like a psychopath, he's like, "Not now, Carrie," which again, I'm like, bad sign number 18. Like, I do not want to live in Aiden's house if I'm addicted to my phone. Like, I'm like, none of this is good.
He's going to make you paint the house, Marina.
And then
I think there are two writers who were dueling in the last season. One was a big mistake, and then the other one was no, he wasn't. He in the next episode. And the other one, the latter one, has like eaten the first one, and so like now we're just getting like Aiden's an evil psycho, you know, like we're just getting a really bad edit of Aiden here. That's my theory.
Really rough edit of Aiden now where I'm like, I guess none of them were her true loves. Okay. I'm like, they never made Mr. Big look like after this. All. Mr. Big would have never gotten in the middle of an ADHD Adderall fight mess at all. He'd have been like, give the kid a cigar, and he would have fucking moved on.
Literally.
So then we get the apples to apples of doom. Which is
the apples to apples of doom.
They're playing the game. Nobody's picking Wyatt's cards. He has a full-blown meltdown over his Mystique reference not being picked.
Before we get to the Mystique reference meltdown, can I also just say, Carrie does suck at this game, and if I were at this table, I would actually be mad. Like, I don't know if I'd throw a rake through a window, but like, I'd be really mad that like we're all playing this game, and no one is doing it right. Like, this is a thing that would bother me, and I thought this was I was like, you know what? In this brief moment, we are Wyatt. Because I was like, I am pissed that she was like, my topic is cringe, and then she picks
it's delicate.
It's delicate. Walmart. And she picks Walmart, and he's like, why did you do this? And Carrie's like, because Walmart's a delicate little social experiment.
Girl, what? Jail, throwing a rake through the window.
What?
I just want the gif that is this kid throwing the rake through the window. That is the meme from this episode that I want.
I want that, yeah, and we're gonna need that. There. Shout out to like the 3 Reddit threads I saw pop up after this episode that were like, "What did she mean by the Walmart is a delicate social experiment?" Like one theory was like, "Is this a classist statement?" You know, we were like trying to figure out what she was saying. So we, you know. Just shout out to how it was an aggravating game. I can't blame Wyatt for that. Anyway, continue.
Same. Yep. Wyatt has a meltdown, as I said. Then everybody, you know, his brothers are like, oh, here we go again. It's Wyatt time. And then Wyatt's like, fuck you both. And then he goes to play with the Switch, which makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, let him calm down with the Switch for 2 minutes. But no, Aiden's being the worst father ever. And is like, no,
don't use that coping mechanism. How dare you?
We're playing cards. It's family time.
So terrifying. Can I just say, I know we talked about the Wyatt of it all, but like, here's my hot take. I'm going to leave with this. Honest to God, I don't know who is more sinister, Wyatt or Aiden. I would argue as we go on, I think Aiden is more sinister. Yes. And Wyatt, look, justice for Wyatt, my maniac, because like Carrie does suck at apples to apples and needs to be told it. So like he's got my vote. Aiden, meanwhile, is like, I'm calling Child Protective Services. Do you know what I mean? This is my hot take I've landed on 40 minutes into this recording.
I agree. I mean, it sucks because we know Aiden has spent more time with him, whatever, but like, nope. I truly had the same thought where I was like, yikes. I don't know that Aiden is dadding well here. Especially because Bob is exempt from playing. But
Wyatt he's sitting there drinking in the corner.
I'm like, why write that in there? Michael, what am I supposed to read from that?
Yeah, it's like we're going to get to the breakup scene. Not breakup scene. But like, oh my God, there are so many things that are concerning that have to do with Aiden in the scene before we even get to somebody throwing objects.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, again, I don't think they thought that would make it look worse. I think they thought it was funny. I hate to tell you, it makes it look weird that Bob can be exempt, but Wyatt can't play the Switch for fucking 2 minutes. Anyway. Then
also, wait, speaking of Bob drinking in the corner in this like confusing sober household, Tate showed up carrying a 6-pack. Are we what?
Well, Wyatt can't drink under supervision. Presumably after they all left, then they probably just threw it out.
I don't allowed to drink under. Do you know what I mean? And he came in with a big thing of Glenfindel. I'm like, where are we? All right, continue. I just need to shout out that continuity error where I was like, I don't know what's going on.
No, I agree. Because then Aiden is like, you know, Wyatt storms off. He's like, no one cares about me. And then the two brothers are like, everybody only cares about you. And then Aiden fucking goes off being like, he has a substance abuse problem. And I'm like, he drank, he got loaded up on beers one night and crashed the car. Like, he is a teenager acting out. He is not an alcoholic. Like, what are we talking about?
Exactly. Like, pick your lane. What? Aiden is so and if the substance abuse problem is happening, you let everyone walk in here with beers and scotch. So 2 scenes ago, that was not the problem. Aiden, you crazy maniac. But he storms out of the house.
It's insane. And then, as you said, the mom sort of puts her foot down, being like, he should be on medication. And Aiden's like, no. And then as the sort of the boiling point hits, we see that Wyatt is out the window holding the rake. God, icon king. And
my messy king
smashes the windows and he says, fuck you all, as he does it, something like that. And then Carrie's horrified by the horror. They run out to go get him. And then we cut to Carrie and Bob clearly driving away. And then Aiden's like, I got to go take a real swim.
Yeah, so they're driving away. The wife and Bob are driving away. Carrie and Aiden are outside, and I thought we were going to have our comforting talk of, like, well, we need to process that. You know what I mean? Like, it was set up for, like, time for Carrie and Aiden to talk about what happened, and Aiden just looks at her and goes, I need a real swim. And leaves her alone.
I mean, we only got 10 minutes left in the episode, so we got to fucking wrap it up. We got to get back to Pop Pop.
Right, that's true.
So then we get the Carrie yeeting scene, which is that Aiden comes in and he's like, I wanted you to meet the family because if you don't meet the family, then what are we? But, maybe it was too soon. Maybe I just got too excited. And she's like, oh, that's cute. Anyway, I'm packing my bags and I'm going to sleep in the guest house tonight because I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And then she's like, here's the key to Gramercy. I'm there for good time. Call me. But none of these kids are ever coming. And she doesn't say this part out loud, but in her head, she's thinking, and I don't want any of these kids to come. And she's like, whenever you need me, I'll be there. And then somehow they like tie it together where she's like, we were playing games tonight, but I've been playing a game this whole time, the waiting game. And like, you need to be here. I do appreciate that she does say, I didn't believe you needed to be here, but now that I've seen this, I believe that you need to be here. And I'm like, and she believes she should never see it ever again. It's kind of hilarious.
It is really funny. That is really funny.
And then they sort of have their moment, and then we see her on the plane flying back to New York City, and the table she wanted to buy has been sold.
And what
finish to the plot I did not care about.
What does MPK have to say about the table, which is so central and important and metaphorical, clearly?
I don't think he said anything about the table at the end.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, big thoughts. I think we went through them. I think it is comically hilarious the way she yeets herself out of this whole situation. And like already the teaser for the next episode shows that she's flirting with her like building mate. So we're
already moving
fast. And that is hilarious to me that we have left this man in the ruins of his family where he is presumably a terrible father. Hate to say it. And just like that, apples to apples.
A nightmare of an episode from start to I mean, different music cues, and this is a horror episode. Like this is a horror movie waiting to happen. We'll never see Bob again.
Rest in peace, Bob.
Bob the boyfriend. We'll never see Wyatt again. Homer, R.I.P. We'll never see Tate. Like, this was just a blip that we just have to know exists out there. I mean, can you imagine watching this episode as an Aiden fan, too? Like,
they have done so much to tarnish him. They tarnish him in the second movie by, like, making him a cheater. Mm-hmm. They tarnish him here by being, like, a very restrictive, no phones, outside time dad, which, like, we're not here fighting no phones and outside time. Obviously, more kids should have no phones and more outside time. But he is like a fucking dictator about it in a way that is like damaging.
Yes.
Hate to say it.
Yeah. Like is very, we're borderline, like controlling and unhealthy, really unhealthy, really bad. hate how this situation landed, and we're never going to see it again. So we just have to live with we have to watch the rest of this season knowing that is what is happening in Virginia.
Is living there. Yep. I'm like, at least Big died on the Peloton.
He had the grace to go out.
He went out looking at a hot woman telling him what to do. Perfect. Aiden goes out screaming at his kid, who then has an emotional breakdown and throws a rake through a window. Didn't see that for him. I can't wait for you to see the original show and realize like who he is in the original show. You are going to scream.
I cannot wait. I just cannot wait.
Well, we end every podcast the same way, which is with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. Emily, let's start with the negative. What was your diarrhea of this episode?
Mm-hmm. I think it's oh man. This is hard, actually. I think I'm gonna make it the fight over the Adderall pills, where Aiden goes like full anti-vax, anti-science.
Yeah.
That was we're not even past the point of no return. We are past that point of no return. Like, we're so in the deep end. That is my moment.
I think for me, it's going to sound dumb, but it's the LTW trying to stay awake.
I completely forgot that happened.
Bothered me on an internal level, because I was like, is this a comedy button? Is this going to continue next episode? It just was like left dangling there. It doesn't make sense. Your marriage is crumbling. I hate to tell you. And it just made me mad.
Yeah.
What was your high? What was your rose? What was your release the Kraken?
I'm going to make it my boy Anakin Shaw telling Carrie, screw you, you're playing this game wrong. Because I thought that was hilarious. It was hilarious, Marina. And he will bring balance to the Force.
He will. I believe in him. Mine is Miranda screaming fuck on the toilet. Killed me.
Good.
Killed me. Well, whew. This episode is going to be 4 hours long. We're sorry, but there was just too much bad to cover.
You knew it was coming. We got to put in the description, like, I'm sorry. Yeah, make a note to be like, I'm sorry, but you know what's coming.
But you know what this episode is. Well, thank you for listening. We will be back next Wednesday somehow with more. And if you think Aiden is a bad father like we do, and you want to remember the good times, go on over to our YouTube page at Sister Pigs, plural, and find our wonderful Baldur's Gate 3 crossover with Sex and the City. It is a delightful, joyful time where we live in the world of Carrie and Sex and the City, and not Carissa and just like that. So remember the good times. Let the good times roll. Yeah. Bye.